Okay. 22. Torn between a couple here. I'm gonna go with Dishonored. Dishonored is great fun. It's kind of like a stealth, immersive sim style game. It's mostly stealth, but you can not be stealthy if you want. You just, I've heard of Hylix. It doesn't really look like my kind of thing, to be honest. Lisa the Painful isn't totally my kind of thing, and it's kind of surprising that I enjoyed it at all. I might give it a try one day, though. Hello, Fudj. Hello, Superrando. I'm good, thank you. I'm tired. I'm talking a lot. Dishonored, it's basically a stealth game where you're an assassin, but what if you also had superpowers? Oh shit, Whammy! Raiding with the party with 4. Thank you very much, Whammy. I do appreciate it. Rank in my top 50 favourite games of all time. You might see that Wario World is here on the list. I know you're just playing Wario World, weren't you? You've become like a speedrunner for Wario World, haven't you? I regret to inform you that Wario World is not going on the list. It's in like my top like 66 or whatever. I like Wario World, but yeah, we're past the point of no return for Wario World right now. You know what I should have put on here? Wario Land 4. I like Wario Land 4. Don't know if it would have been top 50 either, but yeah. Yeah, consider Wario World an honourable mention. Anyway, Dishonored, basically a stealth game if you had superpowers. You're constantly like going through these cool kind of levels with a bunch of AI in it. A bit Hitman, a bit Metal Gear Solid. It's like, hey, here's your target, eliminate them. You can always choose to eliminate them by either killing them or doing it like non-lethally, like one of them you send into prison instead. One of them you fucking lobotomize him, basically. But you have powers like a wind blast, and you can shoot people out of windows. You can possess people, and you can possess rats, because there's a plague that's spread by rats, and when you possess a rat, you can run through like sewer tunnels. You can possess fish, and like go through the water and like surface under like a sewer grate and stuff. What are the other powers in Dishonored? I'm pretty sure there's a slow down time one. There's a lot of cool powers in Dishonored that allow you to do a lot of cool shit. We've Sports Resort in top 50. I see you're also a man of culture. Damn sure I am. You should look it up, right? On YouTube, there's this guy called Stealth Gamer BR who does videos. They're not even speed running. They're like exhibitions of what you can do in Dishonored, and it's so fucking clean. It's like going through the whole level, and because of the tools that Dishonored gives him, he goes through it like it's fucking John Wick, like it's an action movie. The way these physics in the game interact, he'll throw a grenade in the air, just randomly in the air, and then like possess a guy, and as the guy walk over to the grenade and then cancel the possession, go back to his original body, and you'll just see the guy blow up in the distance. You know, he does shit like that to people all the time in the game, because the game allows for that with your powers and your abilities and the way the AI behaves. There's so much room for expression and just doing cool shit on the fly, and like the way the systems interact. It's a great stealth game. It makes you feel really fucking cool. It's not the nicest looking game, and the sound design is a bit off, and the sound balancing is a bit off, but the core gameplay, there's one mission that everyone always remembers from Dishonored, and that's when you go to like a masquerade ball, and you're told that your target is one of 4 sisters, who all have the same last name obviously, and all those 4 sisters are wearing the same outfit in different colours. And so you go to this party, obviously masked, hidden in plain sight, and you have to figure out which one of the 4 sisters is your target. And it's honestly a lot like a Hitman game, because you're just amongst loads of people who don't know you're an assassin after this person, and you have to like blend in and like sneak into secret corridors in this mansion to try and find out information and like deconfirm which one of the sisters it is, and then like try and lure whichever one your target is eventually when you find her alone, and fucking take her out. And the non-lethal way of taking out the sister is this dude in a really creepy mask comes up to you and is like, yo, that woman, I know you're about to kill this woman, but I love her. And he's like, so give her to me. And you incapacitate her, give her to him, and he just says, I can't remember what he says. He said something really ominous and creepy and just sails off in a boat with her. And you're like, what the fuck did I just do? You know? What kind of person did I just give her to? Would it have been more merciful to just kill her? You know? It's a really memorable mission. It's very cool. It's called Lady Boyle's Party. Might recommend looking it up. This is a bit random. What the fuck is an angel slice? It's like a cake. It's like a UK exclusive cake with like icing on it. It's really nice. It's really good. Yeah. Did she deserve it? Well, they're all bad people. All the people who are your targets are like cartoonishly evil. So, yeah, she definitely did. She's like horrible and rich and if I recall, a bit racist. I think. Did I get rid of Dishonored in here? Yeah. Oh, we're approaching the top 20, man. Okay. 21. I think we're going to be fine, by the way. I don't think I think this 50 is going to be fine. I don't think we're going to have to add anything above. This is tough. This is getting tough now. What do you guys think? I'm curious. Got any predictions for 21 while I figure it out? Curious what you guys are thinking. But did she deserve it? Yeah, but there's I'm gonna kill you bad and I'm gonna give you the creepy abducted. Yeah, that's the thing. It's very like morally grey, right? It's not trying to make you out as the good guy for giving this woman to a fucking creepy guy in a mask on a boat. Oblivion, Tropical Freeze. I think it's actually a game that you guys probably aren't paying much mind because you probably have never played it or heard of it. It is Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales, which I played last year. If you recall, this is the game I cited as the most underrated game I'd ever played in the 5 most underrated games video. I said basically all there is to say about it in that video, but it is a spin-off of The Witcher, which I think turns a lot of people off. The name is very clunky, and it's a whole entire campaign game where you play Gwent, which is a spin-off card game in The Witcher. And I don't think it's very appealing conceptually to a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to have played it. You know, it's not a lot of people are going to want to play a game like this. Oh, sorry. Hey Fudj, I found your channel earlier this week and watched your autism video today. I got such a fantastic video I could relate to and confide in greatly. Thanks to the wonderful content. Appreciate you keep up. Thank you very much, Felice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm glad you got something out of it. Not a problem. Yeah, Thronebreaker is just really fucking good though. Like the Gwent gameplay, thank you for the follow, is really fun. Even if you haven't played Gwent during The Witcher, which I didn't, it's a really fun card game. It doesn't teach you how to play it amazingly. I had to Google quite a few things, but it's a very satisfying card game with a lot of freedom in your builds and your decks. There's tons of puzzles you can engage with to get extra cards to go towards a certain build. You get a lot of decisions throughout the game into like how you're going to build your deck. And it makes you feel very smart with all the synergies and stuff it offers up to you. And in between that, there's a really great story and great characters and plot twists and dialogue options. It's simultaneously a really good card game and a really good RPG. But I've said kind of all that I have to say about it already in that video. Big recommend. You don't even have to have played the Witcher games or have any interest in them whatsoever to get this game or to play it. If you're into card games or RPGs, big recommend. I mean, this is higher on the list than Slay the Spire and Hearthstone then. No Halo games on this? No. I've not played much Halo, but when I have, it's never done anything for me, personally. I might give Infinite a go, because it's going to be on Game Pass, and Game Pass is such a fucking crazy deal, you know? Yeah, I don't know, Halo just never really got me. Okay, top 20. Exciting. Exciting times. What's more exciting is this ad. Be right back. Oh! Top 20 is rough, man. So many great games that I don't want to axe so soon. I think 20 is going to be Dragon Age Inquisition. This was the first BioWare game I played, first BioWare RPG. And it was good, it was good fun. I don't really know what to say about it. Just a quick question since I arrived halfway through. Do you have the list already or are you ranking them on the spot? I'm doing it on the spot. Yeah. It's weird. I like Inquisition a lot. I don't know what the fuck to say about it. You know, everything that would make an RPG good. A lot of earnest decisions to be made. A lot of interesting characters. The villain sucks dick in this game, but thankfully the combat is actually really fun. And combat usually sucks in RPGs, but you have like a party of 4, and you can direct them in a ton of ways. Big, huge maps with lots to do. Sometimes the content feels a bit fillery, but nice to look at. The writing and the characters are what really matters, and I can't really talk about the writing and characters too much without like spoiling a lot. I just know this game was really cool, and I really liked it, and I'm very excited for Dragon Age 4 because the DLC brings about a hell of a fucking cliffhanger and a hell of a plot twist based on previous stuff that happens in the main game, and it sets up for a potentially very interesting Dragon Age 4. A lot of great world building, just all the good stuff you'd expect from a good RPG. This is definitely one of my favourite RPGs I've played in a long time. I liked Dragon Age Inquisition a lot. I had it recommended to me by a friend. It's hard to know what to say about it, because when it's RPGs, you know, like, you can't talk about it, what makes it so good, too much without talking about the story and characters. And one, it's been a long time since I played it, and two, I don't want to spoil stuff, so I kind of have to leave it at that. But take my word for it, it's good. Apparently Dragon Age Origins, the first one of the series, this is Dragon Age Inquisition is Dragon Age 4. They do this obnoxious fucking thing with the naming conventions, where the first Dragon Age is Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2 is just called Dragon Age 2, and then Dragon Age 3 is Inquisition. It's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, but apparently Origins is even better. Like, people love Origins. I never played it, but that's the one that people hold up as like really good, and they love it. It's getting tougher and tougher. But I think it's Batman Arkham Asylum. It's been a long time since I played Batman Arkham Asylum. I don't care about like superheroes and comic books and shit at all. I just don't. I've never liked Marvel movies or cared about it. I don't care about Batman. I don't even know how or why I wound up with Batman Arkham Asylum for the Xbox 360 back in the day. But I know that I was shocked at how fucking fun it was and how much I actually really enjoyed it. Oh man, I don't even have to describe it. It's kind of like a third-person action adventure, I guess, where you're Batman and you have like a whole bunch of Batman tools and shit, like explosive spray and like a grappling hook and a Batmarang and whatnot. I'm curious about why you prefer Asylum over City. I never played City. I really wanted to get City, but for some reason it eluded my grasp. I only played Asylum. You read any indie comics? I haven't. I should. I've heard good things about Saga. That's the one where it's like a medieval world and a futuristic world kind of like warring with each other, isn't it? I think. It sounds cool. Anyway, Arkham Asylum's sick. Has a great atmosphere, really great feeling combat. A lot of games have kind of stolen Arkham Asylum's combat since and made it seem less cool, and now people don't like that style of combat anymore, but Arkham Asylum was the originator, in where you had like Batman's reflex, you'd get a prompt and you could push a button, you could counter someone at any time. Really great mix of like stealth and action. You could be stealthy if you want, and it felt really great. The AI was really responsive. Dare I say, it really made you feel like Batman. And there's a lot of really cool like moments and set pieces, like the Scarecrow hallucination. Anyone who's played this game will remember the Scarecrow bit, where Scarecrow first appears, because it's quite scary. He makes you have a hallucination of your dead parents in a body bag, in body bags. But there's 3 body bags. You open up the first one, it's your mum. You open up the second one, it's your dad. You open up the third one, and fucking Scarecrow jumps out at you and triggers a hallucination where he's giant and shit. The Killer Croc bit in the sewers scared the piss out of a lot of people. A lot of great moments in this game. Shame about that final boss. That final boss kind of sucked, but good game otherwise that I really liked. Very compact. It was like open world, but it's a very small open world. So you never felt like you were wasting time. It was very dense. Oh, Night Darkspark, thanks for hanging out. Must be a really weird time for you right now. Yeah, I agree, High Spear. The repeat ones really diminish Scarecrow's impact. The first one is the best one. Yeah, it was like an open world game, like I say, but it was a very dense, tight open world. So you never felt like you were straying away or just... There's like no filler. There's no stupid filler content in Arkham Asylum. It's lean. It's a lean AF game. You know? Big fan. And I should definitely play like some of the later Arkham games sometime. 18. This is where I would put, I think... Yep. I think this is a good spot for the Impossible Lair. I've also talked about this game extensively in my underrated games video, so there's not much more I can say about it. You haven't heard it from me. Criminally underrated. A true shame that like no one played this game, because I get it. The original Yooka-Laylee was not good. I didn't like the original Yooka-Laylee either. But this game just had everything. An amazing like top-down Zelda-style overworld with like genuinely really good, like satisfying puzzles to solve to unlock levels. The way that you alternate levels to their different versions. The core control of the game, 2D platforming, the tonics you can use to like alternate your gameplay experience. Bunch of funny, charming characters out in the overworld. And a banging soundtrack. Just really good. And I think it's going to continue to go underrated. I don't see this game suddenly getting like an influx of new players, you know? And that's a shame, because this game's really good. And I speculated that if a game like Yooka-Laylee, for example, went 2D a long time ago, that it would be significantly improved, because what that game needed was focus. And Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is proof of that. It is extremely focused. Since you're talking about Gwent and Slay the Spire, do you play any physical card games? I do not. No, I'm afraid not. Back in the day, I would have totally like loved to, but not today. Could do that. You know, I'm actually starting to think I might have to shave a couple of entries off the back end of this list, because I think there's still too many here that I want to put on. You know. Okay. It's between two now. This is tough. I'm almost definitely going to have to shave a couple off of the end though, because I didn't put enough extra games on here that I wasn't actually going to put on the list. So I've started at 50, but I've like started way too far back, if you will. Okay. A lot of twos coming up. Dead Rising 2. It's funny that I played Dead Rising 2 because I actually never even played Dead Rising 1. But I got Dead Rising 2 kind of on a whim just because it looked cool when I was a kid. In 2010, I think is when it came out. With my own pocket money. I kind of took a risk because I was like, this game looks interesting. I played it and I fucking loved it. Dead Rising 2, first of all, looks fucking amazing for its time. It still looks pretty nice today. That's a good ass looking game from 2010. But Dead Rising just really fun. Being out in the mall, it's so silly. You can just mow down zombies with fucking actual lawnmowers. Just pick up anything you find in the nearest shop. You know, get a toy baseball bat, get a fucking water pistol, throw a hamburger at them. Do whatever the fuck you want, right? This Dead Rising 2 introduced the like weapon combinations. Yeah, I've heard that the later Dead Rising games are not very good. I've heard 3 and 4 kind of sucked, which is a shame because 1 and 2 in particular, really good. This introduced like crafting weapons and stuff. Like I think if I remember, the most busted weapon in this game is if you combined like throwing knives with boxing gloves. You made boxing claws, where Chuck, main character, would just put knives on the boxing gloves, and you just do this. just mow down fucking hordes of zombies by yourself, just doing this through them all. It's great. When you get in a fucking golf cart and drive around, the boss fights in this game are great. The Chef Antoine, used to kick my fucking ass in this game. And what really blew me away, what I couldn't believe, is that once you go to a boss in Dead Rising and you like trigger them and you see their first cutscene, it's not like you don't, because you can run away from the boss fight any time. What really amazed me is that they just stay there, don't they, right? Like they just stay there in the open world. I really thought like if you run away from a boss fight, you just like fail the mission. You know, like once you trigger the boss fight, you're in the boss fight and win, or don't win and have to do it again. But you can run away and come back to the boss later and they're still there, just fucking around in the mall, but of their own accord. I always thought that was really cool. Oh, the double-sided chainsaw pole, that was one. I remember you could combine a wheelchair with like assault rifles and just like ride around in the wheelchair and have like the assault rifles mounted. It was like a gun car. It was really cool. Yeah, this is a great game. It looks great. And it's very tight and focused because of the time. Yeah, I was about to get at the time mechanics. So you've got to kind of unravel a bunch of clues about the conspiracy of what happened and why the zombie outbreak has happened in a limited amount of in-game time. But that really helps the game. It gives the game a real sense of urgency and makes you want to push on and makes you feel like you have to keep going. You know? That aids the game a lot. I think it gives it a real sense of progression that it wouldn't if it was just an open world game with no objective, where it's like, figure out the shit on your own time. You can't figure out the shit on your own time. And also your daughter's infected and you have to keep hunting down like medicine to stop her from going zombified. And if you don't, that's like an instant game over. So there's a lot of stakes in the game. It's funny and it's fun, but it's also very tense and very nerve-wracking. Big fan. 16. I am almost definitely going to have to shave some time off. Sorry, shave some games off. I'm looking at the list I've got left and I definitely have to shave some games off the end. Like maybe 4 or 5, I'm thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and these 5. Sorry, these 5. These 5 are getting the axe. We'll say these 5 for now. Rest in peace to Snake Pass and Crash 4. This is looking a bit more accurate. I was looking at Hearthstone at like 25 and I was like, is Hearthstone in my top 25 games ever? I don't feel like it is. I don't feel like Mario Kart 7 is in my top 25 either. So these placements are already looking a bit more reasonable, to be honest. And again, I might have to do a little bit of shuffling around at the end, but this is much more immediately accurate, I think. So it's actually more like we're about to head into the top 20, which makes sense to what I'm looking at. So instead of saying 21, above Dead Rising 2 is between 3 games for me. Yeah, or even... Yeah, okay. So, The Last of Us is a game one of my friends loves. And I'm really not into the kind of game The Last of Us is usually. I'm not into the third-person, narrative-based whatever, because I usually find the gameplay in those kind of games fucking sucks. But that was not the case with The Last of Us. I was shocked at how fun a game it actually was, how good the guns felt. I love the scarcity of resources in The Last of Us, and how genuinely important bullets feel and stuff. And Resident Sleep in The Last of Us. And that's the thing, I thought there'd be a ton of filler, and I thought it would take fucking ages to get into it. But the game just like starts right out of the bat. You know what I mean? The game just like gets right into it. The beginning is maybe even the best part of the whole game. I'm doing well, thank you, Alpha Kenny. How are you? It's just a good fucking lean game. It only takes about like 10 hours to finish. There's no filler. It does everything it needs to and it gets out well told story, good gameplay, good stealth, nice looking AF for 2013. Yeah, it didn't personally hit me as much as it did other people because I'd been spoiled on the ending before I played it. I wonder how my opinion would differ if I didn't know what the ending was going to be before I got there. You know, if maybe I'd have it even higher. Hard to say, but The Last of Us is very good, and I totally get all the praise surrounding it and whatnot. You know. Okay, here's probably the last game on the list that I expect no one has fucking played. But this game is very critically acclaimed. Divinity Original Sin 2. My first time ever playing a game like it. I believe the term is CRPG, or like computer RPG. It's one of those kind of like isometric, like walk around the map kind of top down kind of things. And I figured I wanted to kind of finally try and give one of those games a try. You know, like games like Diablo and Baldur's Gate are a bit like that. And I've heard Divinity Original Sin 2, or I had heard Divinity Original Sin 2 was like the most accessible one, the one that's best for newcomers, and there was definitely still stuff about it that didn't make tons of sense to me, and like I thought it was a bit of juice, but definitely I was able to get into it and play it, and I really enjoyed it. The combat is fucking amazing, Divinity 2. There's so many, what's the word, possibilities and possible scenarios. There's so much freedom, there's so many things you can do. You know, there will be a barrel of oil nearby you, and you can teleport the barrel of oil near to your enemies and then have one of your party set it on fire to make it fucking explode and have hot oil go all over them. Or you can transform your enemies into chickens and into pigs. You can grow tentacles to attack your enemies. There's just tons of cool stuff you can do in Divinity 2. The combat is really good, topped off with a bunch of like really interesting characters, great voice acting, great dialogue, good music, tons of choices. Yeah, big fan of Divinity Original Sin 2. It's one of those games where I had this with another game that we'll get to soon. I didn't realise how much I liked it until after I finished it, and I found myself thinking about it all the time. And if you guys get that, but like sometimes you don't realise how much you'd like something until after you've done it, and then you find yourself thinking about it, like, wow, I love that. That's how I was in Divinity 2. I didn't realise how much I liked it until after I finished it, and I realised that I was thinking about it a lot. We're in the top 20 for now. Probably time to finally get this out here. Yes! Crash Team Racing is better than any Mario Kart game. Bite me. Oh, I haven't got rid of Arkham Asylum either. Crash Team Racing fucking goes. I nearly put the remake on here because Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is an amazing remake. It's dope as fuck. But Activision are scummy as fuck and put microtransactions in it after promising not to put microtransactions in it. And fuck Activision, I'm not putting Nitro Fueled on here out of principle. The original Crash Team Racing is just as good as it's ever been. This game dumpsters Mario Kart in terms of mechanics. Like Mario Kart is so scared of having anything like power sliding or nitro boosting and whatnot. Not what's nitro boosting. Whatever the fucking, I can't remember the terms. There's a lot of depth to Crash Team Racing, like the advanced techniques you can pull off with red and blue flames coming out of your engines. Definitely the best music in the franchise of any Crash game. And the campaign is really fun, like the story mode where you've got like a hub world that you drive around and the bosses come out to fucking beef with you every time you enter a new hub world. I really love the overworld for this game. It does like the banjo thing where it has like an adaptive soundtrack and whatnot. So like it's the same song, but it changes in instrumentation depending on where in the overworld you are. So there's an ice part, so then sleigh bells start ringing and it gets kind of funky when you get into the city part. There was like challenges to collect stuff, like collecting the CTR tokens while also winning the race for like emeralds and a lot of collectibles. A lot of content in the game. Great tracks, great music, just a fucking excellent, definitely I think the best racing game, the best like kart racer I think ever made. Mario Kart, sorry buddy. Crash Team Racing lit as fuck. Also Dingodile was in this game. That's a huge point in its favour. Right, give me a second. I'm going to quietly count in my head how many games here left that I'm going to put on, so I know how many entries I actually need. So I'm going to count my fingers underneath the table. Just enjoy the jazz. Okay, I think I need literally one more slot. So I literally just need to axe Animal Crossing New Leaf, I believe. So, sorry Animal Crossing New Leaf. We'll see when we get there, because I might have miscounted slightly, but it shouldn't be too bad either way. So what's just above Crash Team Racing? I'm going to start, at this point, I can start cutting out, I think, confidently the games I'm not going to put on here. So, sorry Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, sorry Wario World, sorry Awesome Noughts, sorry Oblivion, sorry Mortal Kombat 9, sorry Rogue Legacy, sorry Stardew Valley, which is a very good game that I would probably put on here if I'd played more. I think this is it. I think this is what's left that's going on the list, right? So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, which I'm at, 19, 20. There's actually 20 games left. We're actually in the top 20. So, give me a second. For one last time, I just need to shave 2 off real quick. And then we'll be back. We'll actually be in the top 20. So, Animal Crossing New Leaf. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Why did I type Modern Warfare 2? Modern Warfare 2. I'm sorry. But you must depart us. Okay, so for the final time, we are actually well and truly properly into the actual top 20 now, right? Let me just count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Am I miscounting or something? I unironically thought you put Kingdom Hearts 2 there as a joke. There's 21 remaining? Fuck my life. Yeah, I've counted it wrong. It's fine. I'll do it one more time. I'm sorry. So instead I need to push everything forward one. So this is 21. What are you guys' thoughts on the list so far? Hugely surprised by anything other than Kingdom Hearts? Thank God for this amazing chill video game music playlist to carry me through my periods of silence and ineptly having to rearrange my numbers all the time. I put a couple games on there as a bait, so like I thought people would think that Oblivion would be on here, even if it wasn't ever going to be. Oblivion's funny, don't get me wrong, but it's also not very fun, is it? Goodbye, Owlboy. You fought bravely. Okay, that should be it. There should hopefully be no more need for this. Nomura will simply have a vice grip on people's balls their entire lifetime. Very true. Very true. Okay. But I think 21... Yeah. I think 21 is actually Kingdom Hearts 2. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is pretty astounding for its time. This game came out in like what, 2005, and it looks extremely good for its time, and it is big. It has a ton of fucking content for its time. Like the fact that you go back through every world a second time, and it's not like obnoxious backtracking, right? There's something interesting and different that's changed about the world every time you go back. You don't go to every one twice, or do you? I can't remember. But I just remember, like, man, the fact that they pulled off, like, the fucking Lion King world as well as they did in Kingdom Hearts 2 in 2005 is really impressive, you know? Literally, the only part about Kingdom Hearts 2 that I really don't like is the Tron bits. I really dislike The Tron bits feel like such a slog, and you're always kind of pulled into them unwittingly and unwillingly, and it just completely breaks the pace of the game, where otherwise you get a relative amount of freedom of where you go and whatnot. But Kingdom Hearts 2, man, the soundtrack's great, the combat feels great, the combat slaps. The story is obviously fucking stupid and asinine, but it has a lot of content in it, and it's really well made for 2005. There's like little to no bugs. I remember the fucking the bit where you go back to like retro Disney cartoons, whatever it's called, Cornerstone Hill or something, Touchstone Hill, I can't remember. But you fight like classic Pete on the steamboat. Yeah, cool game. I really like Kingdom Hearts 2. It's stupid anime shit, but at least it does something that a lot of stupid anime shit doesn't do, and that's be fun. It's fun, so yeah. Kingdom Hearts 2 just barely missing out in the top 20. Let's delete it. Yeah, this is definitely my top 20. I'm looking at like, yeah, these are all... This is definitely my top 20. It's getting hard, man. But I should probably finally do away with my... No. I hate to spoil like a next entry, but I think Minecraft is soon. Ugh, I need to stretch. I don't look weird, but it's between Minecraft and a couple of others. It's really hard now. I thought this would be easier. I'm actually going to put Celeste here, and then Minecraft will be my 19. I really like Celeste. Like, objectivity wise, it's probably better than 19. Do you not like Metroid? You've not played any of them. Kind of both. I don't like Metroidvanias. So like I played a bit of Hollow Knight and I could tell it was a good game. I was like, wow, this is a good ass game. I just didn't enjoy it that much, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I might have to give it another one a try. I just don't have the attention span to be focusing on maps and keeping track of locations and whatnot. Like, fucking... I don't know. But I should, I should give him a try again sometime. Maybe Dread. Who knows? Maybe. I've been meaning to play Castlevania Symphony of the Night for a long time because I never played that, and that came out the year I was born. And I'm interested in playing it. What's your favourite level in Celeste? What is my favourite level in Celeste? It's definitely not the resort. That was my least... No, the Mirror Temple was my least favourite. I remember, like, in the old site, is that a boring answer? Like, the ones with kind of the spacey blocks that you dive through? Celeste and Minecraft are two games that I struggle to know what to say about, because they've been talked about so much. You know what they are, right? Celeste is just an amazing 2D platformer. Controls tighter than a tight thing that I'm not going to say. Feels amazing. Your least favourites are my two favourites? I'm sorry. It's good. It's not Celeste's own fault, but it does feel like Celeste is the game where I started feeling the fatigue of like, oh, it's an indie game that's a metaphor for depression. But I also think it handles it better than most of them because I like the idea of the mountain being like a kind of also a symbolic thing that Madeline has to overcome, and she's just doing it like just because she wants to, and she kind of feels like she has to. Yeah, I don't know. Great soundtrack, very tight, very focused, great 2D platformer. Makes you feel like you're so fucking good at games, even if you're not. Even when you're not good at video games, Celeste will make you feel like you're good at games, because some of the shit that game forces you to do to beat some of the levels is insane. And you do it like, oh my god. Even though like thousands of other people have also done it to beat the game. And Minecraft, what the fuck do I say about Minecraft? I've had some amazing times with Minecraft, man. You played a Minecraft hardcore? If you've never played a Minecraft hardcore, you're missing out. Like, get a bunch of friends together, and when they die in Minecraft, they're gone from the server, and they have to like leave the mic behind. You set yourselves a goal, like to maybe kill the Ender Dragon, and you put it on hard mode, and all of you only have one life, and if you lose, then you're out of the server. We did that a few times, and it was always great fun. We had this one guy who had a bad reputation for always dying first. It was so sad. He died first 3 times in a row. Dying first in a Minecraft hardcore has got to fucking suck, because you just like can't be in the game anymore. You know, you just got to let your friends live it all up. We've done roleplay servers. We've gone creative. It's fucking Minecraft, you know. I don't know what to say to you about Minecraft. It's Minecraft. It's very hard to evaluate. All I know is that I've had some amazing times of Minecraft, and I will probably continue to have some amazing times of Minecraft in the future, because that game is pretty much like evergreen. You know, because of the way it is, it's never really going to age, get old. It's like Tetris or something. It really is honestly kind of like Tetris for the modern age. Okay. 18. It's Far Cry 3. I hate giving this game props, because Ubisoft have not gotten the fuck over this game. They're like, we made a good game in 2012, so we're going to keep sucking ourselves off over and over again. But Far Cry 3 is really good, and it's the first kind of open world game Ubisoft made, where like it was kind of a checklist, and you had a bunch of stuff on the map to go and solve, and it was a lot of the same stuff. Because it was the first, it wasn't stale yet, and it felt fresh. And there's a lot of cool shit going on in Far Cry 3. The shooting feels really good, but there's stealth mechanics that work quite well. And there's like, you know, when you're one guy going up against an outpost and you take the whole thing out by yourself, you feel really cool. There's all these cool weapon upgrades. There's wildlife. There's fucking bears and tigers and shit. Does Far Cry 3 respect your time as a player? It's been a long time since I played Far Cry 3. But from my memory, yes. Because the side stuff isn't necessary, you know? And you're not ever, from what I remember, you're not ever really like kind of pushed to do them anyway. You know, it's kind of there if you want to do it. But you can stay on the critical path, and the critical path is interesting because they have Vaas, who is a fucking amazing villain. People forget that Vaas is not the main villain in Far Cry 3. I won't spoil it, but after you and Vaas are done, the game keeps going, and there's another dude who no one talks about because he's much less interesting. Vaas is like what everyone remembers. Also, I guess because he's in the front cover. He is a genuinely really good villain, though. The game looked great in 2012. Probably still looks great today if you mod it and spruce it up a little bit. Cool game. A lot of cool wildlife stuff going on. Really nice looking. I love the jungle setting. I wish more games would just go to the fucking jungle, go on an island. I'm so sick of sci-fi and fantasy lately. It's like, it feels like all games can do, right? Put me on a fucking island in the jungle. You know, you definitely can, High Spear. Yep, I will be putting it up on Extra Fudge, or you can watch the VOD. It's entirely up to you, but I will be putting it up on YouTube. Yeah. It's been a long time since I played Far Cry 3, but I remember having a really good time with it and really enjoying it. I should delete Far Cry 3 and Celeste and Minecraft. It's so tough now. It's so hard. But I think it's Shovel Knight. Fun fact, Shovel Knight came out my birthday. That's an interesting question, guys. What is the best game that came out on your birthday? Because the best game that came on my birthday was most certainly Shovel Knight. Just a great 2D platformer with a lot of charm. Its own identity, you know, like it's technically a fantasy setting, but it creates this whole world of like. I love that Shovel Knight says for chivalry, and the whole thing is he digs and he pokers off people with his shovel. A really cool, unique game that feels right out of the retro era in all the right ways. Obviously, like a big Mega Man kind of tribute with the Order of No Quarter, who are basically just the robot masters. But Shovel Knight is better than any Mega Man game I've played. Not that I've played a lot of them. It's funny. It's I like the little towns, like the little overworldish towns. The NPCs are constantly endearing. Great animations. I just love the world and how charming it is. It's got like just the right amount of content as well. And for the record, I'm not counting like the Plague Knight and Spectre Knight and stuff expansions in this. It's just a very likable game. If you don't like Shovel Knight, then you have bad taste, sorry. It's a fun game, the characters are all funny. It's a perfectly like serviceable amount of content. It's well designed. And it was like the first Kickstarter game to be like actually good, right? No one had any faith in Kickstarter games until Shovel Knight came along. It's like genuinely one of the most important, if not the most important indie game ever. It's like this and Undertale. And when Minecraft was indie, sure, but it's not indie anymore. I would love... what are they doing next? Right? Is there going to be a Shovel Knight 2? I know they did King of Cards not long ago. But like, what are Yacht Club games doing next? I want to know. I really want to... I would love for there to be a Shovel Knight 2. But they've really kind of ridden the wave of just Shovel Knight, and that's fine. But, hey, can we get, like, something new? You know? Can we get Shovel Knight 2? That'd be nice. I'd love that. Alright, last game before the top 15. This might strike people as odd. But it is actually Smash 4. Smash 4 is a game for me that's really hard to like rate and quantify. I find it interesting that so many people love Shovel Knight. My playthrough of the game and the DLCs was mostly frustrating and unfun. Really? That's a shame. That's unfortunate. I wish there was something I could say. But, you know, my opinion is just different. But that's valid. Yeah, I don't know, man. Smash 4 is a game that's really hard to quantify for me, or you know, I don't know what to say about it because I have a very personal attachment to this game. I'm sure Burning, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I played this game competitively from about my first tournament was 2016 January, and then I stopped in like early mid 2018 when we knew Ultimate was coming out, so just over 2 years. And I have a lot of good memories of this game, you know, like simultaneously I have some bad memories with it, you know what I mean, like some of the most frustrating. There was this tournament called Albion 2. Do I explain Albion 2? I don't know if I need to sit here and explain what happened at Albion 2, but because it would take way too much time. But I've had some sad times with this game. This game's hurt me before as well. You know, yep. Hey Chris, you've tuned in for Albion 2. The people who know what happened to me at Albion 2 know what happened at Albion 2. The amount of times I got fucking killed off the top by Rosalina at 20%. The amount of times I lost to a Bayonetta player who I knew I was fucking better than. Bayonetta was what made me stop playing this game. It was Bayonetta and the fact that we knew Smash Ultimate was coming out. I was a low tier hero in Smash 4. I played Falco, and I got sick of the low tier life when I realized part of the reason I played a low tier and I enjoyed playing a low tier and a bad character like Falco was because I like the idea of people liking watching me play and finding watching me play interesting and different. But I realized one time when I lost to a Bayonetta player on stream, that the Twitch chat were cheering for the Bayonetta player purely because it was an upset, because this Bayonetta player wasn't well known and hadn't got any good results prior to beating me. And that was when I realised that no matter how hard you try, you will never be the good guy forever. You know, people always want to see the established players lose to the underdog, even if the underdog is playing Bayonetta and the established player is playing Falco. And I realised, why do I do this to myself? Why am I playing this fucking stupid character when, you know, it's not even doing what I did it for? So I was like, I'm gonna drop Falco. I'm gonna pick up a top tier and finally get the results I deserve. And then Ultimate was announced briefly after, And I was like, okay, well, fuck that, never mind, I'll just wait for Ultimate. And then Ultimate came out and ruined my life. That's a lie, Ultimate. Part of the reason I say that Smash 4 gave me some bad times is also because I kind of wasted my life on it for those 2 years, you know? Like, I was so unproductive over this course because my life was Smash 4. Traveling to tournaments, being with people. I've met tons of friends for life through Smash 4. 2 of them in the chat right now. Hello, Birding and Chris. I'm sure there's more in the chat. Yeah, I've met some of my favourite people who I've ever met through this game and through going to tournaments. People I still talk to now. You know, one of my best friends in the world, Miz, I met through Smash. So you can see why it's almost impossible to talk about. But the experiences I had and the community I met through it and the people I met were just awesome. A lot of great times. But also, it did honestly actively hold... It put my life on hold for a while, you know? Like, I was at uni. I should have been focusing on uni and doing uni work and, like, succeeding and probably starting this YouTube channel way sooner than I did. But I was so fucking hooked on this game that I couldn't pull myself away. So, frankly, this game also, I think, was holding me back. And I have to be thankful to Ultimate that I think it's awful and that I don't play it. Because otherwise, I'd probably still be doing the same thing. Not progressing in my life whatsoever. Devoting myself entirely to competitive Smash Bros. And not achieving anything. You know? But a lot of love for Smash 4. So much creativity and expression you could do through its gameplay and mechanics. And yeah, the design, like the balance was fucking lame. If it wasn't Bayonetta who was preposterously broken, it was Sheik before that. Before that was Diddy Kong. You know, there was almost always a stupid broken character doing stupid dumb shit to you in Smash 4. But the game fundamentally was fun. You felt in control. There was a good amount of creativity in the combos you could make, and you could make sick. The gameplay and engine enabled sick plays, and for you to feel cool. And there was so much style and so much that's just missing from Ultimate. I'm not going to go on. You know my opinions on. And with that, we move in to the top 15. Because I went on for way too long about that. Holy shit. Oh! And for the 15 spot, it's between 2 games. Or maybe between 3. I think 15 is in fact Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I won't spend too long on this because I just did a video about it that is getting rave reviews. Hang on, what am I doing? That is getting rave reviews. This is a fantastic game. I don't know what to tell you. I've said everything there is to say about the most recent video. If you can get past all the jokes about Donkey Kong having a spankable ass and being made out of ice cream, I do actually have some genuine things to say about Tropical Freeze. And that's that it's excellent. It's creative, unique, grounded, focused. Beautiful. Beautiful game. I've very recently said all I think about Tropical Freeze. Is the TF2 video out? No, but it will be soon. I'm going to get it out before my move on August 16th. So expect it like early August, I'd say. Yeah, I can't really say much about Tropical Freeze that I haven't already said very recently. Now this is between 2. Yeah. Doom 2016. I prefer Doom 2016 over Eternal for a few reasons. I think weak points that are introduced in Eternal are really lame and kind of make you feel forced to use specific weapons when the previous appeal of Doom 2016 is that you could use whatever you wanted. You know, the brain guys with the sentries in their heads, they're weak to grenade launchers, so whenever you see one, just use a grenade launcher, right? It makes it all feel much more rudimentary and there's a lot less freedom. Also, underwater sections and sticky goop sections where you can't jump, and the Marauder. I still really like Eternal. Eternal's still a great game, but there's a lot more weighing it down, whereas Doom 2016 is like the distilled essence of a fucking amazing first-person shooter that makes you feel like the fucking coolest guy in the world. You're just unstoppable. it's just fun, right? That's what it is. The essence of it. It's just fun in its purest essence. This is a great game to just have fun on. Go into, turn your brain off, shoot the fuck out of some demons. It's such a power trip. It's such a power fantasy. It's so satisfying to like. The creators call them combat puzzles, but when like a big horde of demons shows up, and you just know like I'm gonna take all of this on and I'm gonna win. It's such a cool feeling. It's so empowering to just dart around the place with a shotgun and like solo a whole fucking bunch of demons by yourself. Awesome. Looks amazing, by the way. Good lord. Are you trying to do your own one, Ale? It is hard, isn't it? It is really hard. Which should be evidenced by the fact that I fucked it up already numerous times today. Yeah, Doom 2016, it's a really shocking reboot. Nobody expected Doom 2016 to be good, right? Because Doom 3 wasn't good. Doom 4, which got cancelled, was apparently going to be like basically Call of Duty, which is why they canned it. I don't know if you heard about that, but they were working on Doom 4 and they're like, oh my god, we've just made Call of Duty. So they threw that out of the fucking window, and Doom didn't come back for a long time, and no one was expecting Doom 2016 to be good. And then it was dope as hell. It was sick. Never played any Doom, but I think you'd love Doom Burning. And you can get Doom 2016 for really cheap. Most people prefer Eternal. I think I'm in a bit of a weird camp in that I prefer 2016. Most people prefer Eternal. Eternal is the sequel. It has more stuff in it, you know. They're both good. But you can't go wrong with either of them. They're both really fun. I remember I got Doom 2016 for a $5 for PS4. So, you know, very fun game. It made me realise that I do actually like shooters. Doom 2016 made me realise that I do actually like first-person shooters. It's just we've been so overexposed to fucking Army Man simulators for so long, like COD and Battlefield and Medal of Honor, that it's easy to forget that first-person shooters are actually really fun. And Doom really brings like that essence of fun back to FPSs, you know? Anyway, here's probably my biggest wild card pick, if you will. And probably the one that I expect is going to have surprised the most people. Because it's a game that I don't exactly think I could argue for being good. I don't know if the original Digimon World on PS1 is a good game. And I don't even know if I don't know, man. I love this game. But I don't know if it's good. This is like a virtual pet RPG style kind of game. It's really bizarre and quite obscure, but really fascinating. So you have these Digimon, and you basically need to raise them through training and fighting other Digimon. And eventually they digivolve and become like stronger versions of themselves. Typical kind of RPG stuff, right? But at the same time, there's some really complex and interesting mechanics that differentiates it. First of all, if you lose 3 fights as your Digimon, they straight up fucking die. They die and regenerate into an egg, and you have to start again from like the bottom of the evolution chain, right? But you're also caring for them and treating them like a pet, so they need to go to the toilet. There are literal toilets in the world that you have to physically take them to when they get the urge. And if you don't, they shit on the floor, and that shit stays on the floor. And that contributes to a meter called the virus meter. And when the virus meter tops out, they digivolve into a sentient piece of shit. And it sounds like a joke, but it's not. If you don't believe me, Google Sukamon right now. Sukamon. Your Digimon legitimately digivolves into that when they shit on the floor too many times. Also, when your Digimon is Sukamon and you take them to the shits that are still in the overworld, he eats them! He eats them! He just eats them. It's not a joke. And if you ever want to get your Digimon reverted from Sukamon, there is a place called Trash Mountain where a bunch of them live, and there's a giant king one, a giant king turd, and he magics your Digimon back into the form that they usually were. But it's really dangerous near there. There's a bunch of terrifying fights that almost definitely will kill you if you fight them with Sukamon, because Sukamon is terrible. Also, when you're trying to go from a champion Digimon, which is like the 3rd stage, into the ultimate, getting an ultimate Digimon, which is like the final stage Digimon, is so fucking hard. I've only ever done it. I've played this game a lot, and I've done it like 2 or 3 times in my entire life. the requirements are really strict, and you genuinely feel like you don't get enough time in the day in your Digimon's lifespan before they die of old age to get enough training in to get them to those parameters without mistreating them and making them hate you, which can often go against the parameters. It's really hard to get an ultimate, so when you get one, they feel so busted, and you feel like it's like a genuine accomplishment. It's a really obtuse game that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very cruel. Like, there's almost like an AI kind of behind the back that looks at your Digimon when a certain kind of time, when your Digimon's been alive and in its certain evolution stage for long enough, it looks at it and says like, hey, these are the parameters you need for this Digimon. Do you have them? And sometimes you can feel like you've met all the parameters you need, all the requirements you need, and you still get the wrong one. Because Digimon can evolve into a certain number of different Digimon. It's not like Pokemon where they just evolve into one or maybe two. Every Digimon can digivolve into like 5 different ones. So you go with a specific one in mind, and then somehow you still get the wrong one. And you're like, how the fuck did you decide that I get fucking this one? You know, I wanted Greymon. I got fucking Unimon or whatever. You know. I could talk about this game forever. It's also really badly translated. At one point, the character says "wow," W-A-O-U-W, which I think is supposed to be "wow," but I love this game. I really like its atmosphere and how punishing it is. It's really immersive. It really does make you care about your little guy, but it's also so obtuse. It doesn't explain anything. You have to look up an FAQ to understand so much about the game and to understand what the parameters are. It's a mess, but it's a beautiful mess, and I love it. I also played, they basically rebooted it and made a version that is, for all intents and purposes, much better, called Digimon World Next Order, and I finished that and I really liked it. If this wasn't on here, Digimon World Next Order almost definitely would. Actually, there's a song playing from it right now. That's a good game, and it's a lot more convenient, and it's a lot more approachable, and what's the word? Accessible. You know, it makes a lot more sense. That was also a good game. Yeah, Camrad knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so in terms of quality, this game would definitely not be 13 on a list of 50. But in terms of how much I love it, yeah, it's a fascinating game. It's so interesting. Now to find out what misses out on top 10, however closely it may be. Okay. The Witcher 3 goes here. I did not like The Witcher 3 at all when I first started it. The first few hours really bothered me. But the longer I played, the more it sunk its claws into me. The world of The Witcher is just unreal. Like, a single city, there's a city in the game called Novigrad, and it's far and away the best city in any video game ever. It's just unreal. The environment design, how much like care and effort is put into like making it look and feel like a real city. As an RPG, you're constantly making interesting and really morally grey decisions that are genuinely hard. It's not like, are you a good guy or are you a bad guy? Do you blow up the building or do you not blow up the building? It's never like that. It's always way more complex than that. There's a quest where a bunch of witches have stolen a bunch of kids, and you're trying to like free the kids, but the witches are like really powerful, and so your choice is to either leave them with the witches, or there's a demon in a tree who's like, yo, let me out of this tree, I'll help those kids out. That's your choice. You're like, do you leave the kids with the witches, or do you free a demon? I freed the demon, and he possessed a horse and ran away with the kids, and I never saw him again. And I fucking love that. I love shit like that. Decisions like that all over the game. Just really brilliant writing and characters. You can tell it's based off a book. It has that richness of quality in its world and lore that you don't get from like video game writers. That sounds bad, but right now video game writers are not on the level of novel writers. They're just not. You know, most of them have not done writing degrees and whatnot. If you haven't played The Witcher 3, you really should, and you don't need to have played any of the other Witcher games to get it. Like, this game will make sense entirely of its own accord. It feels really ahead of its time, even for 2015. It feels like a game that could come out tomorrow, and it would still be like, whoa, look at this. Just the sheer amount of content, the sheer lack of bugs, all things considered, considering how big and ambitious it is pretty impressive. The DLCs are fucking amazing. One of the DLC packs has, I think, the best villain in any video game ever made, which isn't actually as grand a statement as you might think, because honestly I don't think video game villains in general have ever really been that good. But this one character in one of the Witcher 3 expansions I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I played it. And yeah, despite not really liking it for the first few hours, when I got to the end of the final expansion, I teared up a little bit, because I was like, damn, like, what a journey this game has taken me on. It's a really nice emotional ending. It really does like transport you into its world. It really does. It's very rare that a game this ambitious actually turns out to be this good, but The Witcher 3 is like a real marvel. It's a shame that Cyberpunk was such a disaster, but that is bound to happen when you're so constantly ambitious all the time. Maybe CD Projekt Red need to, like, you know, chill the fuck out. Because yes, they got it right with Witcher 3, but that was lightning in a bottle as far as I'm concerned. I suspect that little to no people in my chat have played this game, considering the comparative silence. Big recommend. I really recommend this game to you. All of like the gameplay about it is like just fine. It's not bad, but like the combat is just fine, you know, and whatnot. But it's the world and the characters and the choices you make and just being out in that world, man. Pretty magical. Pretty fucking magical. Anyway, with this song playing, seems like a good time to put this on here. Sorry, it just barely does not crack the top 10, I'm afraid. This is the most recent game I finished, Spiritfarer. And I've already written a big, long review of it. Listening to you is magical? Stop it. Stop it, Louis. You're going to make me blush. Yeah, I think Inquisition's good. Inquisition's way better than Skyrim. Skyrim can get fucked. Yeah, no, I would rate Dragon Age Inquisition much higher than Skyrim. I mean, it's a medieval RPG, but it's actually a good RPG. Skyrim's an open world game, but it's a fucking horrendous RPG, right? Spiritfarer, I wrote a big long review of this in my backlogged. I would recommend checking that out. I don't know, man. It's unique and interesting. It has its own identity. Like, you look at it and think like, oh, it's Animal Crossing. It's not Animal Crossing. You know, the spirits you have on your ship, which you run and manage by yourself and have like a kitchen and have all this stuff to like make stuff to make them happy, function a bit like Animal Crossing villagers in that like they're your friends who basically live with you and you talk to them, but also there's an end to them, you know, because they're all dying or they're dead and you're helping those spirits pass on. And so eventually those people will leave you for good. They're not just like random NPCs sprinkled into your world. They're characters who you get to know, and eventually you'll have to say goodbye to them. And it's fucking really emotional when you do, because you get to know these people really well, and they're really well-written characters. It's a very emotional game. The ending really hit me when I realised what was going on. But usually with games like this, right, I've never dipped into an MMO, no. MMOs don't seem my speed. And especially now that I'm a working man, you know, I can't really afford to possibly lose my whole life to an MMO like that. Yeah, usually games like this, their gameplay sucks, and they're like not fun games, but Spiritfarer is actually a good game, you know, like, there's a lot of fun to be had in like strolling across the kind of 2D worlds and harvesting materials and managing stuff back on your boat and whatnot. It's beautiful. Lovely to look at, really nice music. It just hits. Literally my only problem with Spiritfarer, I have two very minor problems. One is that I think it actually goes on for a bit too long, which isn't a bad criticism to have, because a lot of indie games I think charge way too much for way too little. Whereas with Spiritfarer, it's not a cheap game. I got it for 25 quid, but I definitely got my money's worth. It took me like 30 hours to finish the whole game. And in the like last 5 hours or so, maybe a bit longer, I felt like I was kind of treading water and kind of waiting for it to end, because you feel like you've figured out the core gameplay loop and what that is by then. But it takes an impressively long amount of time for the core gameplay loop to get tired or boring at all. And by the time you do get tired or boring, tired or bored of it, it is nearly over. And also, there's quite a lot of hints to like backstory to the characters that you won't really get from just playing. I won't really spoil it, but a lot of the characters have a past with the main character that's not really explained until the end, and so you might be a bit confused up until the end unless you like wiki it, and if you wiki it then you risk spoiling yourself, you know? But yeah, Spiritfarer is the best game of 2020. It's the best game I've played all year so far, and I played Monster Hunter Rise and New Pokemon Snap this year, so, and all 3 Mass Effect games, and Spiritfarer is better than all of them. It's an amazing game. Very nearly made me cry at the end, and I have not cried at anything in a long time. Yeah, that also makes Spiritfarer better than Doom Eternal and The Last of Us Part 2, which it is, and Animal Crossing New Horizons, which it is. It's the best game of 2020. I didn't play Hades, but I played basically everything else that came out that year. Okay. Fuck. Top 10 time. Okay. Ugh. The end is in sight. Let's do this top 10. Oh, thank you for that, Louis. You off now? Is it night time for you, I guess? Well, good night, my friend. Have a nice night. I got any predictions? What from here do we think is number 10? I'm curious. These are the top 10. These are my top 10 favourite games of all time. Oh, Spelunky 2? Yeah, I played Spelunky 2. I like Spelunky 2. But it's like, you know, it's one of those like intentionally hard as balls games. My camera's gone all blurry again. I might have to just turn my camera off for a bit. I'll just do this. I'll do this number 10 cameraless. It is A Link Between Worlds, baby. I was not expecting to love A Link Between Worlds as much as I did. I never played A Link to the Past growing up, so I didn't really have any attachment to the idea of it and whatnot. But it's fucking fantastic, isn't it? It's fucking brilliant. The openness of the design is so flooring to me. The fact that you can rent out items and like go to whichever dungeons in whichever order you want. And the dungeons are so good. The dungeons are so cool. One of my problems with a lot of 3D Zelda dungeons is it's not really a problem with them, but I often just find the dungeons, they're very hit and miss. You know, sometimes they're really fun, but sometimes, and more often than not, I feel like they're a total slog, you know. But nothing overstays its welcome in A Link Between Worlds. Nothing. Like, they're all just, like, perfectly paced. There's so many cool dungeons as well, like the Dark Palace. I remember being really fucking cool. And is it Turtle Rock, the lava one, where you go in like the turtle? And the merging mechanic and the way you like walk around the walls. It's such a compact, brilliant like little experience that lasts just the right amount of time. It's constantly smart and innovative and ingenious and funny and charming. And the fact that you can kind of go at your own pace and go wherever you want, whenever you want. And obviously some dungeons, like the ice one, are definitely intended to be done later. I don't even know if it'd be possible to go to the fucking ice place as your first dungeon. But I love the idea that someone could. As much as they would definitely get fucked up for going there, because that place is actually hard. That dungeon's also cool as fuck. That dungeon's cool as fuck! Every dungeon in Link Between Worlds fucking hits. There's so many cool, fascinating little twists with the merging mechanic, including the final boss that I won't spoil. If you've still got a 3DS, you can get this game pretty cheap. Get it. It's actually one of the best games on the whole console. It's so good. It's beaten out, in my opinion, only by our number 9. An entry that I suspect is going to be quite shocking to quite a lot of you. Is my camera working now? The blur is still not gone. I might have to just do the rest of the fucking stream with a blurry camera. Sorry guys, sometimes it does this. Maybe if I shake it. What's up? Full room tour. Anyway, number nine is Fire Emblem Awakening. That might shock you, based on what you know about me and my hatred for anime. But listen, I actually do like the Fire Emblem games. I think they're good and I think they're fun. And I think Fire Emblem Awakening is the best one. It's particularly impressive because it's easy to forget that before Awakening, Fire Emblem was not doing well. People in the West didn't really care about it. It was basically like a Japan-only thing. And Awakening is like a really competent, really nice-looking, really nicely presented, really tight-playing strategy game that has like not the most amazing plot in the world, but a good and competent and honestly simple enough plot that anyone can get invested in and enjoy. With a couple pretty cool twists towards the end. A mostly likable cast of characters. In fact, a very likable cast of characters. A lot of Fire Emblem characters can be like really annoying, generic, basic anime shit, and it can get very tiresome. But it feels like there's very little of that in Fire Emblem Awakening. There's a lot of like grounded and sensible characters that don't feel like total fucking caricatures. I'm really annoyed about this camera. I just think it's great, and there's a lot of content in it. This is where the whole kind of like waifu simulator thing kind of started to a certain extent, because you get married and you have a kid, and you can basically pawn off your other characters in your party to marry and have kids. But there's substance to that, because there's a time travel thing going on in the main story, and so the characters in your party have kids, and you meet those kids, and they become part of your fucking army, and they become units. And most of the kids are actually really fucking cool characters as well, because obviously you don't meet them as kids, they join your army as like fully grown adults, but they're really cool. Jerome, shout outs to Jerome. Jerome is the coolest character in the game. Him and Owain and Inigo. A lot of great characters in Awakening that I remember. I really, really enjoyed Awakening. Just a beautiful game that doesn't really have many flaws. The ability Gale Force was quite broken, so you'd be trying to breed Gale Force onto units a lot, but aside from that, I can't think of many steps it makes wrong. No, I don't like an avatar character either, but Awakening does handle it pretty well, yeah. I just think Awakening is the best Fire Emblem, and I like Fire Emblem because I like strategy RPGs. I like Advance Wars as well. I've never played one all the way through, which is why it's not on here, but I'm definitely going to play Reboot Camp when that comes out. I'm looking forward to that. Number 8. Any guesses? Any guesses as to number 8? Have I played Ike's games? I played the second one. I played the one on Wii. I think it's Path of Radiance. Right, give me a second. I'm going to unplug my webcam while you guys guess what number 8 could be. Hey! There we go. Fixed it. Okay. Number 8. Team Fortress 2, which I'm going to abstain from talking about too much, because I have a video coming out on it soon. Now you know that I love it. I don't think that was ever really in doubt though, because I've talked about how much I love this game before in videos. Said that it's like Overwatch but good. It's charming. I fucking love all the characters in Team Fortress 2. It's so funny. Shame about the bots, trust me, we'll get to it. We'll get there. Yeah, there's so much of what I say about Team Fortress 2, but I'm going to hold off until the video and you can watch that. But I love Team Fortress 2, and it makes me sad what's happened to it. Definitely. Number 7. Is Monster Hunter World. I've told this story a lot But when Monster Hunter World came out in 2018, I bought it from a game in London. And I got so hooked on it in my first week that I logged nearly 100 hours on it. Or at least 100 hours of like powered on time. And I bunked all 3 of my university lectures that week. Fucked up my sleep schedule. Monster Hunter World is fucking immense. And I'm kind of shocked at the amount of people who, since Rise have come out, have suddenly been like, Rise is the best game. I really like Rise, don't get me wrong, but I do not think Rise is better than World. World... it's just everything, man. The monster designs are unbelievable. The fights and music and the maps. The focus is on the world in Monster Hunter World, right? More so than any other Monster Hunter game. So the maps are so detailed with like endemic life and like other bits of wildlife scurried about the place, and there's secret passages into like different secret areas and stuff. They look unreal. And the monsters themselves and the way they're animated. Every fight with a monster in Monster Hunter World is so good. I don't know how to praise this game. Right. It's full of so many little touches that make it just incredible, right? The final boss, I won't say much about it to avoid spoiling it for you, but the final boss of the expansion, Iceborne, and I'm taking Iceborne into consideration here. Launch Monster Hunter World without Iceborne wouldn't be this high up. It'd be like maybe top 15. But Iceborne is like this huge expansion, basically like a whole new game attached to this one, like a whole new base game that adds a ton of monsters, adds a new map. The final boss of Iceborne is programmed. It has these big, freaky, scary eyes, right? The final boss of Iceborne is the only monster in the game that is not programmed to look at the player character. It's programmed to look straight down the camera because it's programmed to look at you, the player. That is so fucking cool, right? It's like meant to intimidate you, so it looks at you through the fucking screen while you're fighting it. It's shit like that Monster Hunter does all over the place. Little touches that makes the game so fucking cool to play. That is one of my favourite little touches that any video game has ever had. They're so like... Every monster in the game... One of the biggest criticisms people have of Monster Hunter World is that too many of the monsters are too much the same. There's too many like big lizards. A lot of it is big lizards. And yes, a lot of it is big lizards. But I don't care. The big lizards are fucking sick. And yes, there's a bit more diversity in Rise. But they clearly take so much inspiration from real-life wildlife. It's so fascinating to just see the way these huge monsters behave and interact and move and respond to you. There's so many little behaviours. There's turf wars where 2 monsters can get into a fucking fight right in front of you, and it's the coolest fucking thing in the world. I've had some of the best moments of video games in the past 10 years playing Monster Hunter World. It's just immense. I adore it. Every single time I fight a monster in this game, I tell myself, hey, just a fun, chilled out fight. I'm just going to hang out and have fun with it. Every single time it actually gets my heart pumping and gets me out of my chair. Even if it's like a weak little fodder one that I can easily destroy at this point, every single time it gets my heart going a little bit. And I think that just says everything. This game never fails to get a response out of me. This is the fabled VG and Chill playlist that I mentioned in the Snake Pass Stevie. Yes, this is the one of the same. This is the same playlist I mentioned in the Snake Pass Stevie. Anyway, play Monster Hunter World. It's fucking sick. It's very grindy, but it helps that the thing you're grinding is like some of the most fun gameplay you'll ever have, ever. I adore it. One of my all-time favourites. Six. Oh shit. Moke! Hello, Mike. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the subscription, Mike. How's it hanging? 6 is in fact Spyro Year of the Dragon. You know, for a long time, this is my all-time favourite game. Growing up as a kid, this is like my number one most nostalgic, like, kid game, you know. When I played the Reignited trilogy, it took me surprisingly long to get there, but I did eventually it did eventually make me cry. I got to the level Frozen Altars in Spyro 3, and so many of the memories of the original just came flooding back to me, and yeah, I cried. You could argue that Spyro 2 is better because it has less like silly gimmicky levels, but I think 3 is, I don't know, 3 is a lot more charming, and the silly gimmick levels are nowhere near as obnoxious in Spyro 3 as they are in, say, Crash 3. They're still not great. It's just charming. It's great. I'm going to do a video on Spyro one day, probably a World Tours review, because I always used to think that I didn't have anything interesting to say about Spyro, and that it wasn't that interesting because it's just like a generic kids games platformer. But actually, I think playing Banjo, of all things, has made me realise that I think there's actually a lot of interesting stuff to say about Spyro, because it's actually quite close to Banjo, you know? It and Banjo are actually quite close games in terms of what they achieve. Much more collectathon than platformer, right? Crash, you can far more closely compared to Mario, whereas Spyro is much more in the Banjo field. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to be said about that. It's also interesting that Spyro is a platformer where you play as a character who can glide and fly, you know, and that adds a really interesting dynamic to the level design. I watched my friend DX17 play Spyro for the first time on stream not long ago, and watching that illuminated to me how interesting I think Spyro is. The game is much more interesting when you go for 100% completion of the levels, and you explore every nook and cranny, and you realise how well designed the levels are, and how many cool little level design tricks there are, and just yeah, what makes it such a satisfying collectathon. But more than anything is the fact of how nostalgic it is to me. If you gave me like the original PS1 Spyro 3 right now and had me play it, I would probably cry. It's just very special to me, you know. It's like, it's that game to me. Everyone has like that game that is like proper nostalgia, like X Factor, you know. Like, I just love it because I played it at a very important time in my life, and that is Spyro for me. And Spyro 4, along with Team Fortress 3, are like some of the only game announcements that could happen anytime soon that would get me shrieking like a fucking ape. Get me jumping up and down like a fucking chimpanzee. The only game that can compare to Spyro 3 in terms of what it did for me nostalgia wise is Sonic Adventure 2. And here, I'm going to say it, this might be controversial, I also just think Sonic Adventure 2 is a good game that gets a lot of shit that it doesn't deserve. It's so easy to shit on Sonic Adventure 2, and I just don't think it's that bad. I'm not here to tell you that it's the greatest game of all time, or that it's a masterpiece, but it is actually quite good, I think, especially as a sequel when you look at how much it improves on Sonic Adventure 1. And Sonic Adventure 1, yeah, you can make an argument, I think it's just not very good, even though I like it a lot. Sonic Adventure 2 is the only other game that I'm like even close to as nostalgic for as I am for Spyro. But I played it a bit later in my life. Spyro, I was like well and truly a kid, you know, like barely done being a toddler. Whereas like Sonic Adventure was I was a kid. I was like 9, 10, slowly approaching teenager, but not a teenager. Sonic Adventure 2, when I think of Sonic Adventure 2, it makes me think of, it sounds really weird to say, but it makes me think of like freedom. It has like a real free spirit to it. It's like the music and like the City Escape is such an iconic level, but I think of like the first time I rented this game from Blockbuster. First time I ever played it, Blockbuster. That's how you know it was a long time ago. And that opening of Sonic on the helicopter, breaking a wing off, almost definitely fucking killing those guys, by the way. Sonic definitely does kill like 4 dudes in the opening cutscene of the hero story in this game, doesn't he? Right? He breaks a fucking wing off a helicopter. He's like, "Sorry guys, I like running better," and like they're dead. You've snapped a wing off their fucking helicopter, and you see the helicopter like go down. Yeah, Sonic does actually kill people in the opening cutscene, but this game has such a free spirit. The music, Sonic Adventure 2, just like almost every Sonic game, has one of the best Sonic soundtracks of all time. I have such emotional attachment to the music of this game. I also think the story is actually pretty good. It's very cheesy and silly, but the characters are like well portrayed. It makes sense. Their motivations make sense. There are moments where like the characters get serious in this game, and it feels like there's real stakes. There's a bit where Eggman actually puts a fucking gun to Tails' head, and it's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You know, like, I miss that. I miss when like Sonic knew when to get serious. It feels like it hasn't for a long time, and if it does, then it's like stupid and edgy. And granted, I guess holding a gun to Tails' head sounds edgy, but it's not done in that kind of way. Obviously, Shadow was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, and he's the fucking coolest thing ever. Yes, this is the one with Eggman's dad in it. Also, yes, I did want to fuck Rouge the Bat. Also, yes, I do still want to fuck Rouge the Bat. I'm not... That's just the way it is. I would have sex with Rouge the Bat. What's the problem, chat? What? What's everyone so flustered about? I just... Listen, we're deep into the stream. I just thought it was time for some... You know... I pride myself in my honesty. I didn't want to not say it, because then you might think that I didn't want to do that. I didn't bring up Lola Bunny, who I would also have sex with. Yeah, I'm so nostalgic for Sonic Adventure 2. It's not an amazing game, but everything about it, the music, the characters, yeah, I love it. And I still have fun playing it today. I could go back to like almost any level and enjoy it. I think it plays quite well, and people need to chill out. Number 4. We are in the top 4. What's up? What a chat getting on me so much about? I'm not a furry, for the record. I just... Hey, we're done here. Number 4 is Rayman Legends. This is the best game that no one gives enough credit to. I don't want to say underrated, because everyone who's played it knows how... Literally everyone. I've never heard of someone who's played Rayman Legends and said that wasn't a banger. They don't exist. I don't believe it. It's overlooked. Not enough people played it, but this is the best 2D platformer ever made. I'll die on that hill. Constantly creative, so many amazing ideas, but no bullshit either. No filler. Even the fucking swimming in this game is good. Even the water levels are fucking incredible. The music levels are one of the most ambitious and wildly creative things you've ever seen. And a lot of games have tried to emulate it since. It controls like a dream. Its art style is absolutely beautiful. It looks like the world's most gorgeous pop-up book at all times. It's funny. It's charming. You know, it feels good to play. I've done a video about it already. It's one of the best games ever made that no one talks about. Just the absolute pinnacle of creativity and distilled fun. There's nothing as colourful or creative as this game out there right now. I adore this game and everything it represents. Rayman Legends is one of the best ever. We're in the top 3, baby. What do you guys think? What do you guys think the order is? It's Breath of the Wild, Fallout New Vegas, and Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Let me scroll back up and look at the list so far. I could delete these now because I know how it's going. Zelda 1, Pokemon 2, Fallout 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Fallout. Interesting. People who know me will definitely... My expectations have already been put down like a sick puppy. What did I do, Profane Bars? What did I do to mess you up so much? I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Poke Dude. I'm glad to hear that that you played Rayman Legends on my recommendation. It was just as good as I thought it'd be. Thank you, Cheese. I have a way, words was my degree. So if I wasn't good at talking and using my words, then that'd be £9,000 wasted. Oh, I put a Listen, I still loved the Pokemon games. I've just come to resent Pokemon because, of reasons I've talked about. And especially the recent games as well, but Pokemon is still very special to me. As you'll see, because it's not number 3. I mean, what is there to say about Breath of the Wild, right? People somehow have made Breath of the Wild versus Super Mario Odyssey a debate. I'm going to settle that for you right now. It's not a debate. Breath of the Wild is better by a long way. Breath of the Wild is incredible because it was Nintendo's first attempt. It was Nintendo's first real attempt at a big open world game of its kind, and on pretty much their first attempt, and on pretty much their first ever big open world game of its kind, they basically fixed every issue that every open world game prior to it had ever had. Right? They introduced a complex and realistic physics system that is honestly reminiscent of Just Cause that you can just fuck around with. They made a constantly interesting and diverse open world. Not like a fucking Ubisoft, everything looks the same, go to a tower. This game has towers in it, but the stuff it does with the towers is really cool. How some of them are harder to climb than others because there's objects on them. But the game gives you enough freedom to sequence break. You, at the beginning of the game with 3 hearts, could find an ingenious way to get up to the top of the hardest tower in the game. That is the kind of shit that Nintendo lets you do so rarely. The fact that Nintendo gave you so much freedom and didn't hold your hand and let you sequence break and cheese the game and do cool shit ahead of time, ahead of any expected time, is so incredible. It's once in a generation. How often did Nintendo do something so radically different with an established IP, right? They have this weird thing that they don't want to do anything with an IP unless they have a new idea with it. But that new idea is usually oh, we've given Mario a jetpack. The rest of the game is going to be the fucking same, but it's oh, Mario can do a handstand now. This warrants a new game. We're not just going to do a good normal Mario game, though. We have to give him a fucking jetpack or let him do a fucking handstand. Whereas Breath of the Wild, they're no, we're actually going to overhaul the series entirely. You know what else, right? No quest markers. You can put the markers down on the map if you want to, but you're not constantly getting told, go here, go there, go. You do the shit you want in your own order, And even though, for example, the Zora part of the map is clearly intended to be done earlier, and the Goron part of the map is clearly intended to be done as the last one, you can still fucking do the Goron one first if you want to, and you can do the Zora stuff last if you want to. It's just fucking immaculate. It's just a fucking masterpiece. One of the greatest ever. I want to believe that Breath of the Wild 2 can live up to it. They've laid a really strong foundation where if they do a Breath of the Wild 2 and it's just building off the foundation of what they've done with Breath of the Wild 1 with the cool extra things, I don't really see how they can go wrong. Yeah, it's not that replayable. I'll give it that, which a lot of other open world games kind of are. But it's still replayable enough, I think. I also don't think weapon durability is a problem. Sorry, fight me. I would much rather weapons the way they are than weapons be too durable and you can just rely on the same one throughout the game and it gets, here's my good weapon, I'll just use this over and over again. Maybe they break a bit too much. They could stand to be a bit more durable, but not that much more durable, I don't think. I think the weapon durability is fine. It keeps the game interesting. The game would be really lame if you got the Master Sword and you're here's my weapon for the rest of the game. I think it'd be perfect if they kept weapon durability literally the same, but just gave you an option to repair them a little bit. Maybe a meter, a durability meter, and you have to use materials like the metal you get from Guardians to repair an item a little bit. and that's it. That's fine. Then actually leave the actual durability as it is, just fine. Breath of the Wild has so many like amazing little moments in its open world that when you see them for the first time, they blow your mind. Like, do you remember the first time you went to Eventide Island? Or the first time you bumped into the Typhlo ruins, the one where it's all dark and it's like a labyrinth? There's so many cool things like that that don't repeat. I said this in a Skyrim video, right? Skyrim and other open world games, they have these cool moments and set pieces, and then you realise that there's 10 other things on the map that are literally that same fucking thing, copy and pasted, and there's nothing like that in Breath of the Wild. The Yiga Clan, right? The Yiga Clan are one of the only things that repeat, but that makes sense, and they stop showing up after you kill Master Koga, I think, right? But there's Eventide Island, there's the Typhlo ruins, the Lost Woods. The first time there's nothing else in the open world like the Lost Woods. So you bump into it, it's special, it blows your mind, and then after you've done it, it stays special. You know, because there's nothing else like it. All the locales and all the places you bump into that are just wholly unique. Fucking incredible. Nintendo were like, hold my beer, and then they just fixed open world games. Incredible. So many moments from Breath of the Wild. Okay, number 2. It's Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Here's the thing, right? Gen 2 Pokemon, as much as I love it and as much nostalgia as I have for it, in an objective sense, it's great in a lot of the mechanical stuff it does, but Johto, its level cap or its level balancing is really out of whack. It's designed to be very non-linear in that like you can kind of go to a lot of different places in a lot of different order, but in order to accommodate for that, almost every trainer and every wild Pokemon in all of Johto is like disgustingly low leveled, and it can make the game really easy and really underwhelming. Goodness me, Nightbot. I thought we'd sorted Nightbot and cats. Sorry for what Nightbot just did to you, Cheese. I thought you were saying. Here's the thing, right? I've put Heart Gold and Soul Silver here, not Gold and Silver. Because just Gold and Silver would still be very high up. Actually, Gold and Silver would still be my number 2, because I had that much nostalgia for it. But part of the reason that I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver is so good is on its merits as a remake. Is this the best remake ever? I think Heart Gold and Soul Silver might be some of the best remade games ever. They are tonally and artistically perfect, and all they do is add more content and give you some of the most beloved Pokemon games ever with the objectively improved mechanics of Generation 4 with the special split and physical split. My big problem with Heart Gold Soul Silver is how certain new Pokemon like Houndour and Mischief are unavailable. That said, still my favourite in the entire series. Thing is, they remedied that to an extent, right? This is part of the thing. A lot of new Pokemon like Slugma and whatnot weren't available in the main game in Gold and Silver. You had to wait until after you've beaten the Elite Four. But Heart Gold Soul Silver introduces that fucking Safari Zone in Cianwood where you can catch like Murkrow, which you couldn't before, and you can catch Grimer, and you can catch a whole bunch of new Pokemon that you couldn't get in the main game of the previous Gold and Silver. So no, it doesn't entirely fix the problem, but it definitely takes real steps to remedy that. It's very rare that it feels like Game Freak actually know what the flaws of their own games are. It's very rare that Game Freak make a clearly meditated decision with like, let's fix a problem. But they did it. They're like, this is a problem. We should fix that. It's like, calm down, Game Freak. You guys feeling alright? You seem to be developing some kind of self-awareness. The National Park theme is obviously magical. It's just the perfect reconstruction of nostalgia. As a remake, I don't think I've ever played anything as good. It literally perfectly reconstructs some of the most beloved games of all times and then just objectively improves them. Hey, they look nicer. Hey, the music's better. Hey, there's more Pokemon you can catch. Hey, the mechanics are better. You know, there's more content. You can rematch the gym leaders like for seemingly ever. There's so much content. Pokeathlon? I feel like I vaguely remember Pokeathlon. I don't feel like I did it that much, but I feel like that word makes me feel warm inside. When you say that, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling, so I feel like it was good. Yeah, I don't know. I suspect that most of us have played Heart Gold, Soul Silver. We know how special they feel to play. They haven't aged a day, by the way, right? They still like look really nice. You can still play it today and feel like you're playing a pretty modern game. Gen 5, for example, I can't believe I never said this, but I think Gen 5 games are quite ugly. Really thick black outlines because they want to make the sprites move, and that just kind of makes everything look really blocky and kind of already quite dated. Whereas Gen 4, it's much more delicate and it holds up much better, I think. There you have it. Those of you who have been watching this long enough know through the process of elimination, and I've said it numerous times in my streams before, and I've said, if it wasn't already obvious, these two games here are the next or final subscriber special videos in waiting. Once I hit 50k subs, Fallout New Vegas, 75k subs, Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. So I suppose in a roundabout way, I will technically be talking about Pokemon again. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Fallout New Vegas. I don't even know where to start. If you haven't played Fallout New Vegas, this is my recommendation. If you have good taste, you will like Fallout New Vegas. If you know what a good video game is, you will know that Fallout New Vegas is one about an hour in. Yeah, I mean, it's my favourite game of all time. I think it's the best game I've ever played. I don't know how to attack this. I will be talking about it pretty soon, hopefully, with this 50k subs video. No RPG has ever made me feel like I have as much ability to roleplay an actual character and be who I want. There's so much room for expression in Fallout New Vegas' mechanics and systems. You can be a cannibal. You can just be a cannibal in this game, and you get rewarded for it. There are 3 very important characters in the game, and if you, as a cannibal, eat all of their corpses, you get a special perk for it. The game rewards you for being a fucking cannibal. If it's willing to reward you for being a fucking cannibal and eating important people's dead bodies, what else do you think it's willing to like reward you for and let you lean into, right? Back in 2010, this is one of very few games letting you be gay, or letting you be a lesbian, or letting you be bisexual, and rewarding you for that. There's a perk. There's a perk where you, as a guy, can be particularly good at talking to other men in a romantic way and flirting with them. And there's a point in the game where you can flirt with a guy to get really important information and skip a main quest. You know, you can skip whole entire swaths of content just through what New Vegas lets you do. There's so many amazing moments where the game acknowledges your decisions and makes you feel like seen, like you did this, okay, here's a very specific response to that. Here's the game reacting to that. It says a lot, right? I don't know if you guys know. So, bit of interesting background on Fallout. Fallout is currently owned by Bethesda, right? Who suck. And Fallout New Vegas was not made by Bethesda. It was made by Obsidian. I don't know why, but basically Fallout was, as a series, was kind of outsourced to this other team. After Fallout 3 did really well in 2008, they wanted another Fallout game kind of as soon as possible, I assume. But Bethesda didn't really have the time or resources at the time, so they got Obsidian to do it. Fallout New Vegas is generally considered to be so much better than 3 and 4 that Todd Howard doesn't like talking about it. You can watch some interviews, it's fucking great. Every time someone tries to bring up Fallout New Vegas to Todd Howard, it's like he's embarrassed. It's like he's like, don't talk about it. You know, like, because they made 3 and 4, which are like average and slightly below average, and New Vegas is so much fucking better than that, and everyone knows it. The Todd Howard like cowers away from Fallout New Vegas. He's like, he's scared of it. It's so funny. Kids, he and his team were so utterly outclassed to an actually comical extent. This game has the best writing of any video game I've ever played. Has the best characters. There are characters in this game like Mr. House and Caesar who I would quite literally rather listen to for hours on end than anyone in my immediate life. I would pay actual money to have new lines of dialogue added to them as downloadable content. The plot is so original and creative I have played the DLC, Garm. Yes, I have played the DLC. The DLC is hit and miss, but the ones that are good are really good. That being Lonesome Road and Old World Blues. I didn't really like Dead Money. And I didn't play Honest Hearts, actually, because I was recommended not to by a friend who said it wasn't very good. He also refused to pay the full amount owed to Obsidian because of their Metacritic score after the first 90 days, I think. They needed an 85, and at the time it had an 84. Fuck me. That's the thing, is that critics didn't give this game the time of day when it came out. A lot of people were like, this isn't as good as Fallout 3. And time has changed that, right? In perspective, everyone has realised, wow, Fallout New Vegas is like one of the best RPGs ever made. And Cheese made a very good point in chat. It doesn't just let you roleplay, it constantly asks you to. It tells you to tell NPCs things about yourself that will then just become true. Or, you know, make decisions. There's so many different ways to tackle main quests and resolve them, and all of them are valid, right? In Skyrim, part of the reason Skyrim is shit is because you're just the chosen one, and you're a good guy, and there's so many NPCs you can't kill, and there's so many things you can't say or can't do, because you're the chosen one, and you wouldn't do that. But New Vegas isn't like that. Maybe you are a fucking cannibal. Maybe you are a fucking evil psychopath, you know? Do it. Go on, play it. Do it, right? There's a perk for eating dead bodies. There's a perk where called Animal Friend, where animals in the wild no longer attack you, and they instead come and back you up in fights. It's fucking great. You'll be getting attacked by a group of raiders, and a fucking swarm of geckos just come down and fucking destroy them. It's brilliant. The companions in this game are the most well-written characters in any video game ever. I adore them. I could go on forever. I'm about to get into the companions, but I won't. I'll have to talk about this in the video when we get there. I'm just over 500 subs away from being able to do a full video about this game. Listen, here's the thing. This is my favourite game of all time, and I think it's the best game I've ever played, but I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, because without trying to be a dick, it's very smart. It's a very smart game. It takes its time. It's not going to give you instant gratification. You know, it's buggy. It's old. It doesn't look particularly nice, but there's a lot of quiet mechanical improvements over the previous Fallout as well. Like Fallout 3, when you do a speech check, the Yoda 2.07 has great taste. Congratulations on your amazing taste. In Fallout 3, you had like a percentage-based chance to succeed on a speech check. So even if you've got like a really high speech stat, you can, even if you've got like a speech stat of like 80 out of 100, you still have like a 5% chance to fail like any speech check. And if you fail, that fucking sucks. It feels really stupid. Like, oh, I fucking put all these points in my speech for nothing. Fallout New Vegas just gives you like a hard cap, like a hard number. Have this much speech and you can do this and you can do that. And that is so much more elegant and so much more simple and so much more sensible. In Fallout New Vegas, you can look down the sights of your guns, which you couldn't do in Fallout 3 for some reason. You know, there's a lot of quiet mechanical improvements that people don't talk about. I don't know, it's a masterclass. It's a masterpiece of storytelling, of sci-fi, of character development, of player choice and player agency and role-playing. No game lets you pick your role and be who you really want to be like Fallout New Vegas does. And I really could sit here and talk for like literal hours more, but I won't, because I will one day make a video about this game and I'll say everything I need to about it. Because the subscriber special videos I make are like the closest thing I ever get to like traditional video essays, and that is kind of what the New Vegas video will be when it comes out. And I don't want to go over everything in like the world's worst review and whatnot, but in the subscriber specials, I definitely can do that, and I will try to. Oh, there you go. There it is. There are my top 50 favorite games of all time as of today, July 28th. 2021. I'll scroll back up so you can see the full list in its entirety. Here you go. We had to hack a few off: Animal Crossing New Leaf, Modern Warfare 2, Crash 4, Snake Pass, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. What else bit the bullet? What else? What was my original number 50? Wii Sports Resort. But here you go. You know what, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo, honestly, if I had finished it by now, Mike, it might have a chance. It'd be on the lower end, but I do like Banjo. I do like it. You see this? This is what it is to have taste and a palate That Dishonored game seems interesting to me. I'm pretty sure Dishonored is on Steam. And if it's not on Steam, you can definitely get it for modern consoles like pretty cheap. But most people prefer Dishonored 2. So, it might be me being weird, because I prefer Doom 2016 over Doom Eternal, and most people prefer Doom Eternal. Have I played other Arcane games? No, but I want to play Prey. Leave me alone about the fucking Google games. Is it on Game Pass? Surely. Because Arcane, who made the game, fall under Bethesda's umbrella, and Microsoft bought Bethesda just recently, so you'd think they'd have... I'm pretty sure it'd be on Game Pass. It's very like Metal Gear Solid Deus Ex style stealth. I really enjoy it. Basically, you're an assassin with superpowers, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of freedom. Final thoughts, guys. I'm curious, is there anything that wound up like way higher than you're expecting? Anything that wound up way lower than you're expecting? Any placements that kind of throw you off here at all? Anything that isn't on here at all that you're expecting to see? Anything that you're interested in now that I've gushed about it? Let me know, I'm very curious. I'm happy with this list. I'm looking at it and I think it's all sensible. I don't think I actually even need to really change anything. I think this is it. This is my top 50 favourite games ever made.